The text came in on a Tuesday morning while I was folding laundry in my living room. My daughter Maya's 7th birthday was 5 days away, and I'd been planning it for weeks. Nothing extravagant. Just a small backyard party with her favorite strawberry cake and a bounce house I'd rented using money I'd saved from my grocery budget. Mom. Hey sweetie, your dad and I won't be able to make it to Maya's party this weekend. Things are really tight right now financially. We feel terrible. Give her a big hug from us. I stared at the screen, a warm towel pressed against my chest. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. 1,000 responses fought in my throat, but only one came out. Me. No problem, Mom. We understand. Love you. I set the phone down and continued folding. Maya's pink pajamas, her school uniforms, the little socks with strawberries on them that she insisted on wearing even though they were getting too small. No problem, I'd said. But it was a problem. It had always been a problem. My parents lived 40 minutes away in the same house where I grew up, the one with the wraparound porch and the tire swing my dad had hung when I was 6. They weren't wealthy, but they weren't struggling either. Dad still worked part-time at the hardware store he'd managed for 30 years. Mom did bookkeeping from home. They had their retirement accounts, their paid-off mortgage, their Saturday morning pancake tradition. What they didn't have, apparently, was enough to drive 40 minutes to see their granddaughter blow out 7 candles. This wasn't the first time they'd missed Maya's kindergarten graduation. Car trouble, they'd said. Missed her first piano recital. Mom had a migraine. Missed last Christmas morning because they didn't want to drive in the cold. But they always had reasons. Good reasons. Reasons that made me feel guilty for even being hurt. I was 32 years old, and I was still trying to be the understanding daughter. The easy one. The one who didn't make waves. My older sister Vanessa lived 20 minutes from our parents. She had 3 kids, Tyler, Emma, and baby Chase. I loved them fiercely. The way you love family even when the adults around them make you want to scream. But Vanessa and I hadn't been close in years. Not since she'd made it clear, in 1,000 subtle ways, that her life, her kids, her problems mattered more than mine. The day of Maya's birthday arrived with clear skies and the kind of autumn warmth that feels like a gift. Maya wore the dress she'd picked out herself, yellow with little daisies, paired with the cowboy boots she refused to take off even to sleep. Is Grandma coming? She asked while I tied the bow on her back. Not today, baby, I said softly. They had some things come up. She nodded, but I saw that little flicker in her eyes. The one that said she'd expected this. 7 years old, and she'd already learned not to get her hopes up. I felt something crack in my chest. The party was perfect anyway. Maya's friends came, 8 little whirlwinds of joy who devoured cake and screamed in the bounce house until the neighbors probably hated me. My husband Josh grilled hot dogs and wore the ridiculous birthday girl's dad hat Maya had made him promise to wear. I took pictures. So many pictures. Maya's face covered in frosting. Her opening presents. Her laughing so hard she snorted lemonade out of her nose. I posted a few of them to Facebook that night after she'd gone to bed. Her little body exhausted and happy. 7 years of magic with this girl. Best day ever. I wasn't trying to make anyone feel bad. I just wanted to share her joy. That's what you do, right? You share the good moments. Then, a week later, I saw it. I was scrolling through Facebook during my lunch break at work. I'm a dental hygienist, and I'd just finished a particularly difficult cleaning on a patient who hadn't flossed in what appeared to be a decade. I needed a mental break. Vanessa had posted an album, 53 photos. The caption read, "Early Christmas magic with the family. Mom and Dad went all out this year. The kids are spoiled." I clicked. The first photo was of my parents' living room, transformed into something out of a holiday catalog. A massive Christmas tree, decorated with matching gold ornaments and twinkling white lights. Presents stacked so high they obscured the bottom branches. Tyler, Emma, and Chase were tearing into gifts. Designer clothes, gaming consoles, American Girl dolls, a motorized car big enough for Chase to ride in. My mother was in almost every photo, beaming, laughing, holding Chase on her lap while he gnawed on a candy cane. My father was there too, assembling some elaborate toy racetrack on the floor. There was a photo of a catered dinner spread: ham, turkey, All the sides pies from the bakery downtown that charged $20 per pie. I counted at least $1,500 worth of gifts. Probably more. The date stamp on the photos. 6 days after they'd missed Maya's birthday. 6 days after things are tight. I sat in the break room, staring at my phone, feeling like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart until it stopped beating. My coworker Angela touched my shoulder. "You okay, Scarlett? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," I whispered. But I wasn't fine. That night, I showed Josh the photos. We sat on the couch after Maya went to bed, the laptop balanced between us. He was quiet for a long time. Josh is a gentle man, slow to anger, quick to forgive. But I watched his jaw tighten. "How much do you think all that cost?" he finally asked. "A lot." "And they couldn't drive 40 minutes to see Maya?" "No," he closed the laptop. "What are you going to do?" I didn't know. I sat there in the dark, listening to the house settle around us, feeling something I'd never let myself feel before. Anger. Not the hot, explosive kind. The cold, clarifying kind. The kind that burns slow and steady and shows you the truth you've been running from. My parents had lied to me. They hadn't missed Maya's birthday because they were broke or busy or overwhelmed. They missed it because they didn't care enough to show up. And this wasn't about money. It was about priority. About love. About where my daughter ranked in their world. The answer, apparently, was nowhere. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, watching the ceiling fan turn, and let myself remember all the times I'd been the afterthought. When I got accepted to nursing school, and my parents took Vanessa out to celebrate her promotion at work the same week, my acceptance card stayed unopened on the counter for 3 days. When I miscarried my first pregnancy at 12 weeks. Devastated and grieving, and my mother said, well, at least it happened early, before launching into a story about Vanessa's difficult second trimester. When Josh and I bought our first house, a tiny 2-bedroom fixer-upper we'd saved for years to afford, and my parents came to see it once, stayed 20 minutes, and spent the whole time talking about the new deck they'd helped Vanessa's husband build. I told myself I was being sensitive, jealous, petty, but maybe I'd just been blind. Maya woke me up the next morning by crawling into bed beside me, her hair a wild tangle, her breath sweet with sleep. "Mama," she whispered. "Yeah, baby? Do Grandma and Grandpa love me?" The question split me open. I pulled her close, breathing in the smell of her strawberry shampoo. "Of course they do, sweetheart. Then how come they never come to my stuff? They go to Tyler and Emma's things." I saw the pictures. She'd seen them. Of course she had. "I don't know, Maya," I said. And it was the first fully honest thing I'd said to her about my parents in years. She was quiet for a moment, then, "It's okay. Mama, I have you and Daddy. That's enough." But it shouldn't have to be enough. She shouldn't have to comfort me. She shouldn't have to make peace with being forgotten. That's when I made the decision. I didn't tell Josh right away. I sat with it for 3 days, turning it over in my mind, testing it for cracks. But it held solid. On Thursday, I texted my mother.me. "Hey Mom, can we talk? Are you free this weekend?" She responded within minutes. "Mom, of course, honey. Is everything okay?" Me, "I'd rather talk in person. Can I come by Saturday morning?" "Mom, absolutely. Come for coffee. I'll make those blueberry muffins you love." I almost laughed. She remembered the muffins. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. Saturday morning, I drove to my parents' house alone. Josh offered to come, but I needed to do this myself. The house looked the same as always. White siding, blue shutters, the flower boxes my mother planted every spring. I'd played in this yard, learned to ride a bike in this driveway, spent 1,000 nights under this roof. It should have felt like home. Instead, it felt like a museum of a life I'd kept trying to fit into. Even after I'd outgrown it, my mother opened the door with a smile, pulling me into a hug that smelled like vanilla and laundry detergent. "Scarlett, it's so good to see you. Come in, come in." My father was in the living room, reading the newspaper. He looked up and waved. "Hey, kiddo." The Christmas decorations were still up. They always kept them through January. The same tree from the photos stood in the corner, though most of the presents were gone now. We sat at the kitchen table, the one where I'd done my homework and eaten 1,000 meals. Mom poured coffee into mugs that said "World's Best Mom" and "World's Best Dad." The irony wasn't lost on me. "So what did you want to talk about?" Mom asked, her voice light, unsuspecting. I took a breath. My hands were shaking, so I pressed them flat against the table. "I want to talk about Maya's birthday." Mom's face shifted just slightly. A flicker of something. Guilt? Defensiveness? "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry we missed it. Things have just been tight," I finished. "You said things were tight." "Yes." She nodded quickly. "Money's been a little tricky lately, and we just couldn't." "I saw Vanessa's Christmas photos," I said quietly. The room went still. Mom blinked. "What?" "The early Christmas celebration. All the gifts. The catered dinner. The decorations." Her mouth opened, then closed. She looked at my father, who had lowered his newspaper and was watching us. "Scarlett," she began, her voice taking on that careful, explanatory tone I knew so well. That was different. "We'd been planning that for what?" I asked. My voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. "Planning to show my sister's kids they matter. Planning to make sure they feel loved and seen and remembered." "That's not fair," Dad said from the living room. I turned to look at him. "Isn't it?" Mom reached across the table, trying to take my hand. I pulled back. "Honey, you're being oversensitive. We love Maya. We love you. We've been helping Vanessa a lot lately. She's been struggling, and the kids needed Maya, needed you at her birthday," I said. "She asked me if you love her. She's 7 years old, and she asked me if her grandparents love her." Mom's face crumpled. "Of course we love her, then why don't you show up?" The words came out harder than I intended, but I didn't take them back. "Why don't you come to her school events? Why don't you call her? Why don't you ask about her life? You live 40 minutes away, and you see her maybe 3 times a year. But you see Vanessa's kids every week." "Vanessa needs more support," Mom said, her voice rising slightly. "She's a single mom now. She's been divorced for 6 months," I interrupted. "Before that, what was the excuse?" "And I needed support too, Mom. When I was pregnant and terrified. When I miscarried. When we were drowning in medical bills and trying to keep our house." "Where were you?" Dad stood up. "Scarlett, that's enough." "No," I said, standing too. "It's not enough. It's never been enough. I have spent my entire life trying to be the easy daughter. The one who doesn't ask for too much. The one who understands and forgives and makes excuses for you. But I'm done." "Done with what?" Mom whispered. "Done pretending this is normal. Done teaching my daughter that it's okay to be an afterthought." Mom was crying now. "You're not an afterthought, I am," I said, and my own tears came then. Hot and angry and 32 years overdue. I always have been. And maybe that would have been okay when it was just me. I could have kept swallowing it. Kept making myself smaller so you didn't have to feel guilty. But it's not just me anymore. It's Maya, and I will not let you teach her that she doesn't matter." The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Dad spoke. "So what do you want from us?" I looked at them, these 2 people who'd raised me, who'd given me a roof and food and a decent childhood, who'd loved me, in their way. "Just not enough. I want you to do better," I said. "I want you to show up. Not just when it's convenient. Not just when Vanessa's busy. I want you to be grandparents to Maya the way you are to Tyler and Emma and Chase. I want phone calls and visits and interest in her life. I want her to feel like she matters to you. And if we can't?" Dad asked, his voice hard. The question hung in the air like smoke. "Then I'm done," I said simply. "We're done. I won't keep bringing her around so she can feel forgotten. I won't keep pretending this is okay. I'll love you from a distance, but I won't sacrifice my daughter's heart to keep the peace anymore." Mom stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "You can't just cut us out of your life." "I'm not cutting you out," I said. "I'm setting a boundary. Maybe for the first time ever. You can choose how you respond to it." I picked up my purse. My coffee sat untouched on the table, steam still rising. "I love you both," I said. "But I love my daughter more. And she deserves better than this." I walked to the door. Neither of them followed me. I sat in my car for 10 minutes before I could drive, shaking with adrenaline and grief and something that felt surprisingly like relief. I'd said it. I'd finally said it, and the world hadn't ended. When I got home, Maya was in the backyard with Josh, drawing with sidewalk chalk. She looked up when she heard the car, her face brightening. "Mama, come see. I drew our family." I walked over and looked down at the colorful chalk figures. There was Josh, tall and smiling. There was Maya, with her yellow dress. And there was me, holding both their hands. "It's perfect," I whispered. She beamed. "We're all we need, right?" I knelt down and pulled her close, kissing the top of her head. "Right. But I hoped we wouldn't have to be." The first week after my confrontation, I heard nothing from my parents. No calls, no texts, no apologies or explanations or attempts to defend themselves. Just silence. I told myself I was fine with it. I'd said what needed to be said. The ball was in their court now. But at night, lying in bed, I felt the weight of it. Not regret, I didn't regret it, but grief. The grief of realizing that the relationship you'd been trying to maintain was mostly one-sided. That you'd been doing all the emotional labor, all the forgiving, all the reaching out. Josh held me through it. "You did the right thing," he'd whisper into my hair. Even when the right thing hurts, Maya seemed lighter somehow. Like she could feel the shift in me, the way I'd stopped pretending everything was okay. She didn't ask about her grandparents anymore. The second week, Vanessa called. I was loading the dishwasher when my phone rang, her name flashing on the screen. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Hello? What the hell, Scarlett?" Her voice was sharp, angry. "What did you say to Mom and Dad?" I closed the dishwasher and leaned against the counter. I told them the truth. "You made Mom cry for 3 days straight. Dad won't even talk about it. You basically accuse them of being terrible grandparents." "They are terrible grandparents," I said calmly. To Maya. "That's not," she huffed. "They're not perfect, but they're doing their best, are they?" I asked. Because from where I'm standing, their best looks a lot like showing up for your kids and ignoring mine. There was a pause. "That's not fair." "I need more help, you do." I agreed. "And that's okay. But it doesn't mean Maya should be invisible." "She's not invisible, Vanessa." I said her name firmly. "The way I used to when we were kids and she was about to do something reckless." "When's the last time you asked me about Maya? About her school or her friends or what she's interested in?" Silence. "When's the last time you invited us to one of your kids' birthday parties? Or asked if we wanted to do something together as families?" More silence. "I'm not trying to hurt you," I said, softer now. "But I need you to be honest with yourself. We used to be close. We used to talk every day. But somewhere along the way, I became less important. And I accepted that because I didn't want to rock the boat. But I can't do that anymore. Not when it's affecting my daughter." Vanessa's voice cracked. "I didn't realize I know," I said. "Because nobody wants to realize they're part of the problem. It's easier to be defensive. But I need you to hear me, Nessa. Really hear me. Maya is 7 years old, and she thinks her grandparents don't love her. She thinks she's forgettable. And I will not stand by and watch that happen just to keep everyone comfortable." She was crying now. I could hear it in her breathing. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Those 2 words cracked something open in my chest. "I'm sorry too," I said, "for letting it get this bad before saying something." We talked for another hour. Really talked, the way we hadn't in years. She told me about her divorce, about how overwhelmed she'd been, about how she'd leaned on our parents so hard she hadn't noticed she was pushing me away in the process. I told her about the loneliness, about watching from the outside while she got everything I'd wanted: the attention, the help, the validation. I felt invisible, I admitted, like I only mattered when there was no one else for them to focus on. "God, Scarlett, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you felt that way, because I never said it. I just swallowed it." By the end of the call, we'd both cried ourselves out. She promised to do better, to include us more, to make sure her kids knew Maya. "And I'll talk to Mom and Dad," she said. "They need to hear this from someone other than you. They need to know I see it too. Thank you." After we hung up, I felt lighter. Not fixed, there was still so much to work through, but lighter. 2 days later, my mother called. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Hi, Mom. Hi, sweetheart. Her voice was small, careful. Can we talk? We are talking. I mean, can your father and I come over? To see you and Maya? I hesitated. Every instinct screamed at me to say yes, to make this easy for her, to smooth it all over. But that's what I'd always done. Why? I asked. Because we want to apologize properly, and we want to do better. Mom, I need you to understand something. This isn't about one apology or one visit. This is about a pattern that's been going on for years. If you come over and say sorry and then nothing changes, I can't do this. I won't put Maya through that. I know. Her voice broke. I know. And you're right. You've been right about all of it. And I'm ashamed that it took you cutting us off for me to see it. I squeezed my eyes shut. I didn't want to cut you off, I know. But you had to protect your baby. And I respect that. I respect you for doing what I should have done, putting your daughter first. We were both crying now. We can come over, I said finally. Saturday afternoon. But Mom, this has to change. Really change. It will, she promised. I swear it will. Saturday came. And I was a wreck. I cleaned the house twice. Baked cookies I didn't need to bake. Changed my outfit 3 times. Josh watched me with gentle amusement. They're your parents, babe. Not the Queen of England, I know. What if this doesn't work? What if they can't change? He pulled me close. Then at least you tried. At least you gave them the chance. And Maya will know you fought for her. When the doorbell rang, Maya ran to answer it. She stopped short when she saw who it was, suddenly shy. Hi, sweetheart, my mother said, kneeling down to Maya's level. We've missed you so much. My father stood behind her, holding a wrapped present, small, nothing extravagant. Can we come in? Mom asked, looking at me. I nodded. We sat in the living room, and for a moment, no one spoke. Then my father cleared his throat. Maya, your grandmother and I owe you an apology. Maya's eyes went wide. She looked at me confused. Kids aren't used to adults apologizing to them. We haven't been very good grandparents to you, he continued. We missed your birthday, and we've missed a lot of other important things. That was wrong. You deserve better. Mom took over, her voice thick with emotion. We got so caught up in helping your Aunt Vanessa that we forgot we have another precious granddaughter who needs us too. And that wasn't fair to you. You matter, Maya. You matter so much. Maya looked down at her hands. How come you always go to Tyler and Emma's stuff but not mine? The question, so simple, so devastating, hung in the air. My mother's face crumpled. I don't have a good answer for that, sweetheart. We made a mistake. A lot of mistakes. But we want to fix it. If you'll let us. How? Maya asked. And I was so proud of her in that moment. So proud of her for asking the hard question, for not just accepting empty words. Well, Dad said, pulling a small calendar from his pocket. We thought we could start by marking down all your important days. School events, piano recitals, birthdays, everything. And we promised to be there. No excuses. Mom pulled out her phone. And we'd like to call you every Wednesday evening. Just to talk. To hear about your week. Would that be okay? Maya looked at me. I could see the hope in her eyes, but also the fear of being disappointed again. What do you think, baby? I asked. She bit her lip. What if you forget? Then you remind us, Mom said firmly. And if we forget more than once, your mom has permission to yell at us. A small smile tugged at Maya's lips. Mama doesn't yell. Then maybe it's time I started, I said, and everyone laughed. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a neat bow tied on everything, but it was a start. They stayed for 2 hours. They played a no with Maya. They asked about school, about her friends, about the book she was reading. They actually listened to her answers. Before they left, Mom hugged me tight. Thank you for not giving up on us, she whispered. Thank you for showing up, I whispered back. The weeks that followed weren't perfect. There were still moments when I had to remind my mother about events. Still times when I felt the old patterns trying to resurface. But slowly, things changed. They came to Maya's piano recital, both of them. Front row. They started calling every Wednesday. like clockwork. Sometimes the calls were short, just 10 minutes, but they were consistent. They invited us to dinner, just us. Not a big family thing with Vanessa, just us. And one day, Maya came running in from school with a huge smile. "Mama, Grandma sent me a card." Just because. I looked at the card, simple, with a drawing of a rainbow. Inside, my mother had written, "Thinking of you today. So proud to be your grandma. Love you forever." Such a small thing. But to Maya, it was everything. Vanessa and I started talking more too. She made an effort to include us in family things. Invited Maya to Emma's sleepover birthday party. Asked if we wanted to do a joint Thanksgiving. It wasn't like it used to be. We'd both grown and changed too much to go back. But it was better, more honest, more real. One night, 6 months after that confrontation in my parents' kitchen, Josh and I sat on the porch while Maya played with fireflies in the yard. "You did it," he said softly. "Did what?" "Broke the cycle. You taught her she doesn't have to accept being treated as less than. You showed her what boundaries look like, what self-respect looks like." I watched Maya catch a firefly in her cupped hands, her face glowing with wonder when it lit up. "I just wanted her to know she matters," I said. "She does, because of you." I leaned against him, feeling the weight of the last few months, the pain, the growth, the hard conversations, the small victories. "Do you think they'll keep it up?" I asked. "Long term? I don't know," he said honestly. "But I know you'll hold them accountable. And I know Maya will be okay either way, because she has you." I thought about that text from 6 months ago. Things are tight. Such a simple lie. Such a painful reveal of where we stood in their priorities. That text hadn't broken me. It had woken me up. And maybe that was what I'd needed all along. Not to be perfect or understanding or easy, but to be awake, to see clearly, to choose my daughter over my own fear of conflict. Maya ran over, breathless and happy. "Mama, did you see? I caught 7 fireflies." "I saw, baby." "You're amazing." She climbed into my lap, too big for it really, but I held her anyway. She smelled like summer and grass and childhood. "I love you, Mama," she said. "I love you too, sweet girl. More than anything. Even more than Grandma and Grandpa." The question caught me off guard, but I answered honestly, "Yes, even more than them. You're my person, my priority, always." She snuggled closer, satisfied with that answer, and somewhere in the distance, I heard my mother's voice in my memory. "You can't just cut us out of your life." But I hadn't cut them out. I'd just shown them the door and let them decide if they wanted to walk back through it with respect and effort. They'd chosen to walk through, and that made all the difference. Because love without action is just words. And I'd spent too many years accepting words. My daughter deserved more. And so did I. So here's what I learned from all of this. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to keep the peace. Sometimes protection looks like boundaries. Sometimes healing requires you to stop being the easy one, the understanding one, the one who swallows hurt to avoid conflict. And sometimes, the moment everything falls apart is actually the moment you finally start building something real. That text message didn't ruin my family. It saved us, because it forced us all to decide. Are we going to keep pretending? Or are we going to do the hard work of actually showing up? My parents chose the latter. After 32 years of being the daughter who accepted crumbs, I finally chose myself and my daughter, and that choice changed everything. Maya is 8 now. Last month, my parents drove out for her school play, a tiny role as tree number 3. They sat through the whole thing, cheering loudest when she took her bow. Afterward, Maya hugged them tight and said, "Thanks for coming, Grandma and Grandpa. It meant a lot." My mother looked at me over Maya's head, tears in her eyes. I saw the apology there, the gratitude, the understanding of what she almost lost. I nodded. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to move forward while remembering the lessons. And the lesson here is simple. You teach people how to treat you. And more importantly, you teach your children what they should accept from others. I refuse to teach my daughter that she should settle for being forgotten. So if you're reading this and you see yourself in my story if you're the one always understanding, always accommodating, always swallowing hurt to keep everyone else comfortable. I want you to know something. You're allowed to ask for more. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to walk away from relationships that ask you to make yourself smaller. And you're allowed to protect your children from people who won't show up for them. Even if those people are family, especially if those people are family, because sometimes love means letting things fall apart so they can be rebuilt the right way. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is send one simple text back. No, actually, it's not okay. That's where change begins. Drop your city in the comments. Let me know this story reached you. Let me know you understand. Let me know I'm not alone in this. And if you're struggling with something similar, if you're the forgotten child or the overlooked parent or the one always making excuses for people who won't show up, know this. You're not asking for too much. You're just finally asking for enough. And that's not selfish. That's survival. That's love. That's everything.